Happy Friday! I hope y'all are all being angels, my little algebra angels. I know you are. We have some notes to take today in class, so I need y'all to be nice and quiet so that we can get through these notes. Today is going to be lesson 3.7, which is finding and using slope-intercept, the slope-intercept form. Okay, so if you remember this guy, our slope-intercept form, y equals m, what? Finish the rest? X plus b. Yes. Okay, we have to put everything, we have to note that everything we're going to do today, we're going to be using this form, slope-intercept form. And it has to be in y equal form. So, I want you to make yourself a nice note over here. Must be in y equals form. Okay, has to be in y equals form. So let's take apart this slope-intercept form. What is your m? What is that called? Yes. It's the slope. And what is your b? What is your b? Anybody remember? That's your y-intercept. Okay? Today what we're going to do is we're going to make sure first that any equations we get are going to be in the y equals form first. That's your first thing. And then from there you should be able to tell me the slope and the b, which is the y-intercept. Okay? So let's do an example. Y equals 3x plus 4. I want you to go ahead and circle the slope in this problem. Circle the slope. Okay, don't include the x, just the 3. This is your slope. That's your m. So we know right now that our m is going to be 3 over 1 because it has to be in a fraction form to tell us rise over run. So it's got to be 3 over 1. And I'm going to use this because it is a brighter color. Sorry, it's kind of hard to see. Can you tell me from this equation, what is your y-intercept? I hope you said 4. You are right. The b is 4. It's a 4. This is also light, so I'm going to use a darker color. It's 4. So that basically tells you that that line, if we were to graph it, it would cross at the 0, 4 coordinate. 0, 4. Your y would be 4. Your x, of course, is 0 because it's on that y-axis, the y-intercept. All right? Let's do another one. Example 2. Y equals 2x. Circle your slope. Yep, your slope is going to be 2. Got to put it in a fraction form. It's 2 over 1. The rise is 2. The run is 1. And what is your b? Well, there is nothing that we're adding, so your b is just 0. You wouldn't just write 2x plus 0 because it's 0. There's nothing more to add. So if there's not a b there, then you just have to know that it's 0. And that means that it would cross the y-axis at 0, 0. That line. Okay? Let's do another example. Y equals -5. Y equals -5. Okay, guess what? Say this, read this one more time. Y equals -5. Did you just tell yourself what the y is? there was no x, no slope. So that is where it crosses the y-axis. It's telling you right there, y equals -5. So, but you could just break it apart. Do you see any x? Nope. So your slope is going to be, it's like you have to add in plus 0x. So your slope is 0/1, which is just 0. And then your b, well, we already know what our b is. It's this right here. Your b is going to be your -5. And I wanted you to see that it doesn't always have to be in this order. mx plus b. If it can be backwards and you might have to move it around, but the number by itself without the x attached to it is going to be your y-intercept. It's your b. So this is crossing, the line is crossing the y-axis at 0, -5. Okay, so we're going to turn it up a little bit in difficulty here. We're going to do another one. So far today, all of our examples have already been in y equals form. So let's see what we need to do if we run into something like this. What do you think, if you think about equations, could we move these things around here to get this into y equals form? Yes. Just think about what we do for equations. If we're trying to get this y to y equals by itself, we got to move this 3x to the other side. To move anything across an equal sign, you have to do the opposite. So this is positive 3x. We're going to subtract 3x to get it over to the other side. It's going to x. That's going to zero this out. And now you have 4 minus 3x. You cannot subtract the 3x from the 4 because it is not 4x. It's just a 4. So we're going to go ahead and say 4 minus 3x. So now we have y equals 4 minus 3x. Well, that looks like this did. It may be a little out of order, but we can still figure out which parts are which. What's our m? It's going to be whatever is attached to the x. And in this case, it's a -3. You got to put that over 1, so it has a rise and a run. And our b is that positive 4. Okay? So even though it was subtracting the 3x, the negative goes with the number that follows it. It goes with the 3. It does not go with the number in front of it. That is a positive 4. So it's just 4. And that means your y-intercept would be at 0, 4. Let's do one more of those. And then I'll let you do your worksheet. We're going to apply this knowledge to your worksheet today. So we have -2x plus y equals 0. We got to get this into y equals form. So we need to move this guy, this -2x, to this side. So to do that, we have to zero him out over here. So we're going to add 2x, because -2x plus a positive 2x, that makes 0. So when we add 2x over here, we add 2x over here. Now I'm going to rewrite this to say y equals, I'm going to go ahead and put my 2x first, just so it's in a nice y equals mx plus b form. And I'm left with y equals 2x plus 0. You could just say 2x like we did up here in example 2. But we'll go ahead and leave the 0 just so you can see what we're doing here. This is your m. Put it over 1. This is your b, right? 0. And that means it crosses at 0, 0. So just remember, if it's not already in y equals form, then you need to put it into y equals form. I know I said that was your last one, but I do want to do one more, and you'll see why. This one's a tricky one. 6x plus 1/2 y equals 10. Ooh, we got to get this into y equals. We got to get y by itself. So the first thing we know we can do is we can move this over here. So we're going to do that by subtracting 6x from both sides. This zeroes that out. So now we're left with...
Sorry, I missed that. Could you say it again, please?
Oh, Siri. No, Siri. I'm not talking to you.
Okay.
Oh, silly Siri. 1/2 y equals 10 minus 6x. So think about our equations. We need to get y by itself. How can we get y by itself? You multiply by the reciprocal. So because this is a division problem here, you can multiply to get it off. So we're going to multiply this by 2. But look over here, guys. We have to multiply this whole side by 2. When we multiply this by 2, it cancels out, and we're just left with a y. Yay. But this one, we have to distribute that 2 into the 10 minus 6x. Because you can't just multiply. In the past, when we've gone to this step, we've only had one number over here. Well, we still have two terms. We have a negative 6x and a 10. So we have to multiply both of those things by 2. When you multiply this, 2 times 10, you get 20. When you multiply 2 times the negative 6x, you get 12x. Okay, or, well, 2 times the negative 6x is technically negative 12x. So that means you're going to subtract there. And now we can tell what is our slope. Our slope is negative 12 over 1. And our b is 20. And so the x coordinate would be, the y-intercept would be at 0, 20. Alright, so I want you to use these notes today and apply that to your worksheet. On the worksheet, I only want you to do, let me find it here. On the worksheet today, I only want you to do the odd numbers only. So just do 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and then on the back 11, 13, 15, 17, 19. These won't take you very long because most of them are just getting you to identify the slope and the y-intercept. Okay? Alright. See y'all on Monday. Be nice. Bye.